I think this was the first time I stayed at a truck stop so far on this trip. Also, it's 27 degrees Fahrenheit out right now. We're in Florida. It's the middle of March. This shouldn't happen. Pretty nice driving west across the country. It's 9:30 a.m. right now, but it's about to be 8:30 a.m. again because we're passing into Central Time, so get that extra hour for the day to explore. It's pretty good. We're definitely gonna need it. So instead of taking I-10 all the way back today, we're gonna take some pit stops along the coast of the Panhandle in Florida, along with Alabama and Mississippi as well. To start the journey, we are in Panama City Beach. There's no denying that these white sand beaches along the Panhandle in Florida are some of the most beautiful in the United States. I will say that it's probably pretty disappointing to be a spring breaker right now though, and to wake up and it's 40 degrees outside on the beach and absolutely freezing out. It's warming up a little bit, but I feel like I wouldn't be too happy if I came all the way to Florida for vacation and this is what I got. That's a town called Niceville, Florida. It's gotta be one of my favorite town names that I've ever seen. Although I think my favorite one is in Alabama. As you're going on the interstate, like right in the middle of the state, in the middle of nowhere, and about to pass into Mississippi in the central part of Alabama, you pass through this town called Cuba, Alabama. And it always cracks me up whenever I go through there. I remember it because there's a blue sign, like those blue signs that we have on the interstates here in the US that show if there's restaurants or lodging or gas and whatnot. There's one blue sign on the interstate as you're going through this area for the exit, and it's got one restaurant listed on it, and that's it. No gas stations, no lodging, nothing else, just one restaurant, and the restaurant is called Cuba Restaurant. It just, every time I see it, I start laughing hysterically because I have no idea what it's like. I've never been to Cuba Restaurant. It could be really good. I wonder if they sell like Cuban food. Probably not, but I don't know. It's really interesting to see it, and I'll have to make it a point to check it out someday. I really haven't spent a whole lot of time in the Panama City or the Destin areas before. Normally when I come over here to surf, I'll go to Pensacola Beach or Gulf Shores, Alabama, even Dauphin Island or Grand Isle, anywhere that's a little bit closer to New Orleans. It's also just gets a little bit better in the Pensacola area than it does over here in the Destin area where we are right now. This place is just really built up. It's like super touristy. There's tons of traffic and congestion around here. I kind of prefer Pensacola Beach. I'll miss you, Florida. It was a good trip. Until next time. And hello, Alabama. Our final stop today on our very short visit to Alabama is downtown Mobile. That building is supposedly the tallest point between Jacksonville and Houston along Interstate 10. It's technically taller than any building in New Orleans. I guess it's kind of cheating though because it has that little spire thing on the top. I don't know if that counts. Will it ever end? I've been stuck over here for like 10 minutes waiting for this train to go by. At least I got some nice views of the river. I've been to Mobile quite a few times before. I had a couple of friends in college who were from here, so we would come over every once in a while, but I wanted to stop and show it to you guys. The city is a little bit like a mini New Orleans. A lot of the street names are pretty much the same or very similar, and there's Mardi Gras beads still hanging from just about every tree and light pole in the area, so that's definitely a similarity. this will more than likely be our final stop on our coastal journey that we've had today. We are now on the Gulf Coast Highway, Route 90 in Biloxi, Mississippi. I know I've mentioned this before, but for about 2.5 years out of college, I worked as an account representative for a company in New Orleans. And one of my territories was down here, actually, on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, in Biloxi and Gulfport and pretty much everywhere around here. So I definitely know this area pretty well. For about 2 years, I was coming down here once a week doing the 200-mile round-trip drive from New Orleans. I really used to love coming down here. With customer meetings, it was just so much more laid back. You could chat and you'd actually get to know the people and they take the time to hang out, and I just really enjoyed that. It's not really the same in New Orleans. New Orleans is a little bit more high-strung, you know, it's a lot of business and not too much casual going on, and down here it was just a different vibe, a different mentality that I really liked. I'm feeling a bit nostalgic right now, not necessarily for the days where I was working for that company, but for the times that I came down here. It's probably been over 3 years since I've walked on these beaches or seen some of these buildings, and I just kind of wonder like how the people are that I had relationships with, how they're doing and what's going on in their lives. And also just, this was kind of like an escape for me when I worked for that company in New Orleans. Being able to come down here, I really looked forward to the days that I had meetings scheduled over here, because it wasn't quite the same as going to Pensacola and surfing, but at least I was able to see the ocean, and that's a big part of me. It's something that I really love. Biloxi and Gulfport are pretty nice towns. A lot of people don't even realize that there are beaches in Mississippi, but for this entire stretch along Highway 90, you have probably somewhere between 70 and 90 miles of white sand beaches. They don't quite compare to the beaches that we saw earlier today. You don't have the emerald blue-green water. It's a little bit murkier from the runoff on the Mississippi, but they're still pretty nice, and generally they're a lot quieter than the beaches in Florida. This area is also really well known for being a big casino town. I think maybe the third largest in the United States, behind Atlantic City in Las Vegas, Nevada. I could also be making that up, but it sounds about right. There's at least a dozen casinos here, and they pretty much dominate the skyline. A lot of fancy names: the Imperial Palace, the Scarlet Pearl, the Beau Rivage. I know them pretty well. A lot of them were my accounts when I was working down here, and even though I'm not really much of a gambler myself, they're probably worth checking out if you are. Time for some dinner. It's been a long day. A lot of driving in the wrong direction and all over the place, not taking the most direct route back to New Orleans, but got to see some pretty places, so I can't complain too much. This place is called Nuke's. It's a local sandwich shop. There's actually a bunch of them now that are opened all over like the southeast, but I think it's originally from Mississippi, and it's really good. They got some of the best chicken salad I've ever had. We're back in New Orleans. It was about an hour and a half drive or so after eating dinner. I don't think Antine knows that I'm back yet. I think she's expecting me to be back at some point either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So we're gonna show up and surprise her right now and see what happens. You knew I was coming? I kind of. It was less exciting than I thought it was gonna be.